Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today to lead a discussion on embedding consumer insights in the organization. We heard from the previous panel how important it is to embrace change and strategies for doing that. We're actually going to hear from some folks today who are right in the middle of that right now. My interest in this topic area really came from my experience working in the industry over the past 20 years. And I've worked in a number of different categories. So I've seen the high complexity of the automotive industry to the really fast-paced world of retail. And finally now at Orbitz, working through just the massive quantity of clickstream data that we have that, as Gail alluded to, really a lot of times speed is valued a lot more than precision in that world as well. And so really it's become clear that we're not just here to deliver insights, but we're here to do it in a way that's really innately compelling to the organization, and it really makes a difference to the business's leadership in a way that our insights are delivered at the speed of business, I think is a really critical dimension for us. At Orbitz, consumer insights is a newer discipline, and I've had to adapt my style and what I do to really meet the needs of the organization in a couple of ways. One, by really focusing on quantitative research and bringing a strong quant discipline to the organization, as well as a lot of coaching around when and how you use qualitative and quantitative research in conjunction with other tools that the organization was a lot more familiar with, like multivariate testing. And really what I try to espouse is, let's get to the why behind what consumers are doing, not just the what. So we have a lot of data on the what. So that's really been a focus of my time at Orbitz. So when we talk about embedding consumer insights, which is really defined as to cause to be an integral part of a surrounding whole, it sets a really high bar for us as researchers and partners. And that deep level of integration, while it's challenging, it's really necessary, I think, for us to maintain investment in our functions and just make sure that the voice of the customer is really coming through in everything that our businesses do, and not just a focus on products or transactions. So really what we do is just critical day to day. A really quick story, and we'll jump into our discussion. One of my previous bosses was really frustrated with this topic and this idea of embedding consumer insights, and this was in the very early days of Twitter. So he put a tweet out, and he said, we have all of these great consumer insights, but we're lousy at delivering them. Does anybody have any insights or advice? Well, not surprisingly, he didn't get any answer from the Twitterverse. But luckily, we have some folks with us today who can help answer that question. And I'd like to introduce them at this time. So first, to my left, we have Ramón Portilla. He is the Senior Director of Member Insights for the Sam's Club Operations and Membership Teams. Ramon's role is to monitor member sentiment and engagement and distill key member insights to help define the future of Sam's Club membership strategy and offering. He has over 25 years of experience on both the supplier side as well as the client side, starting way back as a statistician for Nielsen in Mexico City. Outside of work, Ramon's passion is spending time with his family, and we have a very special guest here. His daughter, Paulina, has joined us today, and we're hoping that she'll join the future ranks of researchers as well. So thanks for being here, Ramón. Next, we have Lori Kneisler, who's the Manager of Consumer Insights for General Motors Global Market Research Group. She has over 29 years of automotive market research experience, including serving as Vice President of Opinion Research Corporation. In her current role at GM, she specializes in bringing the voice of the customer to the decision-making table through a consultative relationship with vehicle teams during the product development cycle. In addition to all of the adventures I know she has in her work every day, in her free time, you might find her scuba diving or mountain biking. So thanks for being here, Lori.
Pleasure.
And finally, Gunn Johnson joins us from Google, where he's Director of Advertising Research, and he's the leader for Google's Market Insights team in the Americas. The Market Insights team is Google's innovation engine for advertising research, focusing on new audience, consumer insight, and ad effectiveness measurement approaches. Prior to joining Google, Gunn led the marketing science unit at Team Detroit, where he worked on the Ford account, both in the US and globally. Gunn also has some very important personal initiatives that he is pursuing at this time. He's working on a 50K cross-country ski adventure, and he's also trying to get his golf handicap in the single digits. I have to say, though, most importantly, Gunn is a fellow Wolverine, so I have to say, go blue.
Go blue.
All right, so my first question to the panel is about expectations. So if you could each talk a little bit about how you've personally seen expectations changing for the consumer insights function in your organization. I'll start with Gunn.
Thanks, Stacey. I think at Google, we've really seen 3 trends recently that has really just raised the level of expectation for consumer insight. I think the first trend that we all know and see every day is the advent and rise and really the delivery of big data. So the ability to get to the atomic level view of consumer engagement and really put that in context of some of the existing primary research with new analytical techniques that may be applicable for your business. I think the second approach is really the advent and rise of new channels and new ways to really measure your different interactions with the consumer, be it through mobile, be it through social, be it through single source or other measurement techniques that really make us look at kind of those age-old held notions in a new light with new information. And really the third piece is really the rise and speed of information today. With Google Trends, with some of the other pieces out there that really raise the level and speed of delivery, we see just a great amplification of the opportunity. Most recently exhibited, last week with the selection of a pope, or even during the Super Bowl, where you start seeing people bid on new keywords for something like blackout within 4 minutes of it occurring. I think those 3 things really raise the level of expectation for us and really require us to rethink strategy in a real-time aspect where, we're kind of changing things around on the fly.
Well, I recently learned the power of context in a new and kind of embarrassing way. When David was kicking off our session this morning on behalf of Bob, he said the master we serve is the truth. And I think the truth in context is very powerful. So I'll give you my little embarrassing on me example. A few years ago, I was driving around the Detroit area, and I noticed a bumper sticker. It was a very simple oval. It was had a black outline, a white background, and black lettering, and it said 26.2. Huh? What's that? I was driving along, and I saw another one. It was the same identical black and white oval, and the printing on it said 13.1. Now, I knew they were related because they were identical except for the figures on them, but I had no idea what they meant. That's the embarrassing part. Then one day I was pulling in my health club, and I noticed the car next to me had 2 of these stickers on it. The first one said 13.1, but the second one said 10K. Oh, then I got it. It was the context of my health club and the 10K, which is more familiar to me, that helped me understand what the other stickers were, which of course were marathon and half marathon finishes. And I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't know what they were, but I didn't until I had that context. So one of the ways that we have been able to understand our customers' context at GM is by placing research staff right in the functional teams where vehicles are developed. So these people serve as advisors or consultants, and they participate in a lot of meetings and decision-making forums. So when a product development issue comes along that can be answered by research, they're likely to have the right frame of reference for the answer because we share a context. In essence, they know what the 10K is that will unlock understanding. Okay. Ramón, how about that?
Well, I think, for us on Walmart and Sam's Club, we've been trying as many, to get more strategic, and we've been through a process. The research function in our company that has existed for many years has really been just revamped. I would say seven years ago, and most recently, what we have to do was we were commissioned to really excel in synthesizing, integrating, and leveraging the insights, across Walmart Inc. That means Walmart, Sam's, and globally, and that has to come through a new model, new way to organize. So the way we decide, the management, the leadership said, we need to put people closer to the business. We need to start having insight function to be a liaison, with specifically key stakeholders, and one of those was the finance and the strategic planner teams. We have to be in sync with these functions if we really want to have an impact. So the other part was, well, we need to have all the engine, all the force that is going to be driving these insights through the organization, and I would say in that particular we actually do it in three aspects, and You know, here at Walmart, we love acronyms, so I'm going to be throwing a few of you today, so just probably to make it also more easier to learn. But this one will be just, you know, ARM, A-R-M, and that was basically saying we need to drive analytics. Think about a company that has over 200 million transactions globally a week. We have to be driving analytics, and we know in the case of Sam's Club, knowing our members, we have to be listening to them. I mean, we saw, I love the video this morning in which, you know, customers and consumers were telling us, you know about me, you need to know more about me, you know, be in context if you want to talk to me. So that has been just one of the critical things we've done. Another aspect on the analytics side for us is test and learn. In the retail industry, we need to be testing every time and learning, and we just need to find a more faster way to be applying those learnings to the business. The ARM stands for, you know, what I would say literally the research function, and that comes with the qualitative, the quantitative, all the trackers. And in that area, you know, at Sam's Club and Walmart, we've done, you know, I think a great job. We have a great leader there. Actually, it's here in the audience, David Gunnard from our insights team. He has really worked this year and a half to really establish the platform, the foundation in which we could leverage. We could really bring the insights to a more efficient way across the company. So we don't have time to be doing and reinventing the wheel. And everything has been about ensuring that we can drive the short and the long term. The third one will be about measurement. The M stands for measurement, and I know you guys think about it constantly, but we have to be connected to the performance metrics of the organization. And for us, you know, very simple. Recently has been just as simple as integrating the POS data for Nielsen, NPD, and IRI, and ensuring that, you know, again, along with the finance teams, we have the right performance metrics.
Right. So in light of these expectations and the changes that you've talked about, can you tell me a little bit about how you go about embedding insights in your large organizations? So Ramón, can you share that with us?
Sure. Well, I'm going to throw the second acronym for this morning, okay? I'm going to call it TOP, okay? T-O-P. And that is you know, how I want to describe you an example of what we did. This was a challenge for us in Sam's Club a year and a half. We have over 600 Sam's Club in the U.S. that, you know, with sales around 80 to 100 million. So you need to think. Each one of our club managers handles or manages an 80 to 100 million business. So we have to ensure how can we execute our operations, our merchandising strategy. And they have to execute it in a way that was going to be really driving one goal. Member satisfaction, the member shopping satisfaction, which is so critical. Again, referring to the video this morning, which, by the way, I love this ladies here in New York saying, what I don't like about small stores is they charge more money. So, you know, there's some message there for New York, I guess. So, you know, what I'm saying is we have to be really ensuring that our club managers were able to be driving. So the first thing we have to embed the insights was, which stands for T, is the top management. We have to have the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of the company, buying into implementing the insights. And we got him. He has been the driver of how we're going to be doing, and he told us specifically there's 4 areas that are going to drive our member satisfaction. Just very intuitive things that all of you know, when you buy and shop, which is fast, friendly, you know, clean environment, things like that. But our job in Insights was, what are those drivers for each one of those elements that we could be helping to execute? So that's what we did. The second, the O, will stand for ownership, you know. And ownership not by the insights function. So we have to be selling the ownership. The ownership has to come from the users of the data. So we have to be, I mean, think about it. We need to make them smart. They are the ones that are executing and putting in place the insights we bring. So we really have to ensure that they got ownership. And that was what we were telling them. We said, you know, if you want us to help you with that, you need to help us design these insights. So it's what I call, you know, designed by operators, for operators, which they have to ensure that they will own it. It's going to be making sense for them. And we have to give it away. It's as simple as that. They have to be the smart guys, not us. And the last one, I would say, it's the P stands for practical, which is, again, very common sense, but it's about they it needs to be actionable. It's going to be very, very, very simple. And I would tell you, we're very pleased. I mean, the results we've seen so far with our member experience has been great. We recently saw the result from the Temkin, experience rating, and Sam's Club, shows for the second year in a row in the top 5 lists of better, experience, shopping experience. And recently also Forrester, published their ranking and experience, and Sam's is the 3rd. So we're pleased with that.
How about at Google? How do you go about it?
Yeah, so we really leverage a combination of different techniques to embed insights through the organization. On one end of the spectrum, Google is fantastic on creating really self-service tools that you can create your own insights from, as well as then making all of our studies that we do, especially on the consumer, as transparent and easy to digest as possible. With both of those activities, what we try to do is train the organization on how to use both those pieces once. And then what we've seen is really the best way to embed insights is by allowing folks to generate their own insights and access the insights on their own need and schedule. On the other end of the spectrum, on the full service side, what we try to do, as Ramón was saying, is really embed people in the organization that are as close as possible to decision makers as well as really stakeholders that can kind of action on some of the insights we mentioned. In that case, one of the best things we've done to really have people kind of take up and really understand, are really conferences, our full service experiences like our Zeitgeist or really Think events, where we discuss really new techniques, new approaches, and new insights that are really relevant for a particular business. I think both of those ends of the spectrum are really important to, again, have on a regular basis where folks can understand and appreciate not only what's been done, but what's coming. And in that way, we can kind of educate and really train the organization on how to generate their own insights, how to look at new insights in context, and provide them with a framework that they can understand when new things are coming.
Well, a minute ago I talked about context and how leveraging an organizational position can really help us understand our customers' context. So once I feel like I understand who my customers are and what they need, then we have 5 best practices for our deliverables that we try to follow. And I have an acronym too for them. STORY, only I spell it S-T-O-R-I. The S in STORY does stand for tell a story. So we're always going to try to shape our report so that it naturally reveals the insight that was found in the data, as well as answering the question that was asked, and hopefully those are the same thing, right? The T in STORY stands for trim. We try to trim our output and be brief. I know as a researcher, I have a real bent toward comprehensiveness. I really want you to come on the journey that I went on to get to my insight, but really what's required is completeness, not comprehensiveness, and I think they're very different. The O in STORY stands for Organize Online. We try to make our research available through 2 different online portals, but it's not as good as Google, right? That's the standard now. People will say to us, why doesn't it work like Google works? The R in STORY stands for Recruit. So we've recruited some talent to help us look good. We recently added a videographer, and Ken works entirely post-field, and he creates fabulous summary videos that we use in a wide variety of places. And we also have Chris is our graphic artist, and he has made our PowerPoint material look a lot better too. And I know those sound minor, but I think that those things make our information more accessible to people. And then lastly, the I in STORY stands for integrate. So we'll work to integrate or synthesize our information together. And we heard about the simplicity gap from Gail, and then naked research from Kathy. So no naked research. I know as a researcher, again, I'm very good at delivering point-in-time reports for standalone studies. But if I can put that together for my customers, then that gets them one step closer to a decision.
So we've talked a bit about changing expectations and some examples of how you're embedding consumer insights. So if you could take a leap forward for me a little bit, what are some of the challenges that you see coming forward in terms of insights in the future in your organizations, Lori?
Yeah, 36,000 is my challenge. 36,000 is the number of engineers that I need to educate about the voice of the customer. I know how to do 1, I know how to do 10, even several hundred over the course of a year, but 36,000. So let me tell you how we educate 1, and if anybody has any great ideas, you can come see me at the break, right? Last year we were working on the Equinox, which is the next, we were working on the next one, which is a popular SUV that Chevy sells. And when we're working on any kind of product like that, we do all the kinds of research you think we would do. We do ethnography, we go out and visit customers in their homes, we get to know them, and we try to learn about how their vehicle needs to support their lives. And we also view those field events as great opportunities to take along our business partners. So we often have engineers or designers with us so that they can hear the voice of the customer firsthand. So we were visiting with a customer named Catherine, and along with me was Derek, the engineer. And Derek was an engineer's engineer. He was just, everything was just so in his life. I'm certain everything was arranged in the rows and columns of an Excel spreadsheet. So he was having a really hard time understanding how this conversation with Catherine was going to benefit him at all. And he said to me, that's just way too soft and squishy, and how am I going to fit that in my spreadsheet? But he put on his game face and he participated. We finished our research, went back to Detroit. Months later, we were working on a particular attribute in the cargo area of the vehicle. And one team of engineers wanted to solve it one way, and a second team of engineers wanted to solve it a completely different way. And the debate was heated. When all of a sudden, Derek pipes up from the sidelines and he says, well, you can't do it this way. You really need to do it the way Team 2 wants to do it. So despite not having talked with Catherine about that particular feature, he was able to take that general conversation and apply it in a very specific way because he had listened to her and he understood the essence of what she wanted in her cargo area. So that's experiential learning at its best. That's one. How can I do it for 36,000?
Well, now go back to Lori and acronyms. Now we have the same challenge. Is again, I told you, 30 or 600 clubs. Or if you think about Walmart and all the managers, we have 4,500, club managers, store managers in the U.S., and we have 2.2 million worldwide associates. So we need to ensure that we can drive more consciousness about our members and our customers to the field, to what we call the field. So, but at the end, for us, I would say, and this is my own personal opinion on our company, there's really big three challenges. I'm thinking also about the industry. One, we talk about it, and that's good when you hear more and more every day these things, because that's at the end what sticks. Is number one is the big data aspect that I mentioned, with 200 million transactions, a bunch of information. How can we build the infrastructure to support big data while at the same time we keep delivering the everyday and the need from the business? That is the yin-yang, for us, is we know we have to execute, but how can we master that? And we need suppliers that can help us achieve that. The second is about the integration. We talk about that. I mean, how we need to ensure that all the data are synced. And here I will actually make a call, to two sides of the audience today. One, the research vendor community, and then us, the users of research. For our friends that are from the research organizations, you have to connect more with others. I know it's difficult, but we've seen tremendous value when we bring skills, unique differentiator skills from certain companies, and they start partnering because we do not have the time to go and expect that one single company is going to be serving all of it. Sorry to say that, but I think you need to now be thinking how that connectivity. I mean, I love, this morning Jay talking about that, how it's about facilitating the people communication, and that's going to be imperative. But now the message to us, the buyers, we cannot expect the research, companies to do it if we do not open. And I know it's sometimes very difficult, but we need to engage with a more strategic view of what we want to accomplish. As a good friend of mine used to say in research, we don't have all the, always nails, so we don't need your hammers. We need now to tell you what we need, and you need to connect and find a ways for us to solve it. The third thing, very quick, is going to be about, again, people telling stories. That is a tremendous need for us. We need our new generations of researchers being able to synthesize, to connect the dots. And I'm telling you right now, for us, in our research people in the company, one of the key things in the development, in the performance reviews, is you need to be better telling stories. And that's what we need to be able to paint the picture and how to put things in action.
And we have about 40 seconds left for Gunn to add his thoughts as well.
Sure. So I think for us, you know, the core focus with Google is always to understand the user. User, focus on the user and keep promulgating insights and understanding around. I think our particular challenge around insights then is to take a lot of the one-off or many iterations of research we do and to scale that. Scale that to the industry, scale that to our users in the advertising community as well. And that's something I think we'll talk through more functions like the ARF, even some of the other pieces we've done this week, really around new approaches and how we can essentially productize that. So instead of a one-off study, it can be done at scale. That's the biggest challenge for us.
Great. Well, I want to thank our panel for sharing their insights with us. We learned some new acronyms. We talked a lot about ownership and just the need to kind of figure out this balance between self and full service and how to go both broad and deep. So I'm really looking forward to working through those challenges with our partners, suppliers, and in our organizations as well. I just want to thank our panel today. Their thoughts? Thank you.